Maize and Blue Nation, it's Tom Brady. I co-founded Autograph with one mission in mind: change the fan experience for the better. That's why I'm excited to announce the release of a new app that recognizes the biggest Michigan fans. The Autograph Fandom app gives you access to the best Michigan content, fan challenges, and exclusive rewards for diehard Wolverines, all for doing the things you already do, like listening to this podcast. Head over to the Apple App Store and search for Autograph Rewarding Fans and download today.
I'm upset. No disrespect, respectfully. But disrespectfully, it's disrespect. Don't be disrespectful. Those vile, disgusting Spartans. Poor little girl, them. And I'ma tell them why I'm mad. That vile, disgusting cesspool in Columbus, the other state, and of course, as always, I'm upset. Good afternoon, good people. It is I, the Maize man, and I'm upset. Listen, man, I decided to pause. I decided to do the show today, dolo, no extras. Shout out to my man, the Maniac. We will be back live tomorrow. You guys know that. Eminem on Mondays. Shout out to my guy, Goj. I'm sure you had a great time yesterday. A beautiful weekend for you. I'm positive of it. Not so much for me and the rest of Michigan and Wolverine Nation. Here's the thing. We're going to talk about some things today. Some of you are not going to be happy. Some of you are going to clap your hands. Some are going to say tabernacle, hallelujah, all of the other stuff. But a lot of people are going to be upset with what I have to say today. You saw the name of the live today. I was okay yesterday, but woke up mad thinking about the missed PI and the Don slip. Absolutely. I'm upset about that. I'm upset about a lot more than just that. Shout out to Ryan who's here. Hey, man, how about your Raiders throwing a pick 6 versus my Broncos 10-10 right now? It is what it is, bro. It's not Raider time right now. This is all about Michigan and what Michigan did yesterday. I'm going to start right here. I brought this up last night on the immediate reaction show. Here's the thing. Was the leash too short on Alex Orji? At the time that he was replaced, Alex Orji, I think, played 3 series. He was 3 of 7, 15 yards, not very good passing the ball. We know that. That's about 5 yards per completion. It's probably 2 yards per attempt, a little over 2 yards per attempt at the time that he was replaced. He was replaced by Jack Tuttle, who comes in and goes 10 of 18, okay? 98 yards, threw a touchdown and an interception. It wasn't like he was extraordinary, especially passing the ball. He did throw a touchdown, like I said, to Colston Loveland, where that pass could have been to Marlon Klein. It'd have been a lot less exciting because it was an easy play underneath. Marlon Klein came underneath. The defense was going the other way. Marlon Klein would have walked into the end zone, but he had to make it a little more dramatic. He threw the touchdown to Colston Loveland. Either way, we got the 6 points out of it is the most important part of it. That said, he did give a spark. I'm not even going to front on that. He came in. They went immediately down the field, scored a touchdown. They went on to run off 17 unanswered points. When he got into the game, the score was 14-0 Washington. After that 17-0 run, it was 17-14 Michigan. So not here to hold that against him. This is what I have a problem with. I have a problem with the coaching staff. By the way, if you're here, hit the like button. I did drop the link in the comment section for anybody that wants to join. I'll re-drop that. Anybody that wants to join, feel free. But I'll tell you why I got a problem with the coaching staff and what went on here. I watched the post-game interview with Chiron Moore, and it sounded like they were ready to do this, make this Jack Tuttle move, basically whenever he became healthy, which is a little bothersome because the quarterback that Jack Tuttle replaced Alex Orji was 2-0 as a starter, including wins over a top 25 USC team. And he also beat, of course, Minnesota last week. Or was he 3-0? Either way, USC and Minnesota went down with Alex Orji as the starter. Now, technically, Alex Orji started this game and they lost, but I'm not going to put this one under the Alex Orji loss category, even though they were down 14-0 when, he did give up the reins. As my man DK said, hit that like button. We trash. Kirk Campbell is trash. You're absolutely right about that. Kirk Campbell is, at this point, a complete joke. I do think he has some value as a recruiter, but I no longer want Kirk Campbell calling plays for the Wolverines. We're going to touch on all of that in just a second. But yeah, I think the leash was a little too short for Alex Orji. I'm not saying Alex Orji is a world beater or any of those things. I'm saying we have played 3 quarterbacks, starting with Davis Warren, who of all of them passed the ball the best. But I still thought, we could get something else. Alex Orji comes in. He may not be as strong a passer as either of those other two, but he is a better runner than both. He forces the defense to bring another player down in the box, and that's just to deal with him as a potential runner. And then you have, of course, Jack Tuttle, who played last night. And many people think that Jack Tuttle played well. I am not one of many people, by the way. I think Jack Tuttle did not play a great game. In fact, Jack Tuttle had 2 very costly turnovers. The fumble being the first one, very costly. And then, of course, the interception, another costly turnover for the Wolverines when they're trying to get back in the game. I'm going to go to your comments here for a second before I move on, because I don't want to miss nothing. Preach, my brother, preach. This team is poorly coached. Hey, I hate to do it. Kirk Campbell playing offensive coordinator. He is playing offensive coordinator, right? Hired a Liberty University OC at this point. Secondary looks lost. We'll get to that. The leash was pulled on time, but they could have used him like Washington used their freshman quarterback. Okay. Donovan Edwards, new slot receiver. Orji was a developmental quarterback. He would have been legit by the time he entered his senior year. The Michigan fan base destroyed Orji by demanding his skill set now when it wasn't ready. He played like you know what. Sit him down with Warren far, far, far away. Edwards is our second best receiver. This is a fact. I agree with that. I agree with most of what everybody said here. Back to the leash being pulled way too soon, in my opinion. Again, Alex Orji had not lost as the starting quarterback. Let's start there. Teams get down 2 scores early in games. It was still early in the football game. You recognize that. It was the first quarter of the football game. Anything can happen in that time. And if Alex Orji loses, right? If we go out and Alex Orji loses that game, and it's 35 donut or it's 35-3, and you want to make a change, then make the change. But at least let Alex Orji finish what he started. And if it was a mess and it continued to be a mess, we would have dealt with it, right? But at the end, it started a mess, then it got a little better, and then it ended a mess. So in the comments of the head coach are what bothered me the most after the game. After the game, the man said, quote, when asked about Jack Tuttle, he said, looks like he gives us the best chance to win after we just lost to an unranked team. Michigan was a top 10 team going into that game, lost to an unranked Washington team by double digits, by the way. And I'm not saying that on the road at Washington is an easy place to play. I do not believe that. But I am saying that Michigan, the defending national champions, playing in national championship rematch game, and it looked like there was no sense of urgency out there, by the way, by the coaches, by the players, anybody, except for the Washington sideline. They looked like they were engaged. By the way, Jed Fish didn't even coach on this staff a season ago and looked like he was more in tune with what had happened a season ago than the coaches on this team. If you can't tell, I'm a little upset. Shout out to the Maniac who just entered the building. Shout out to you, sir. Halfway through the season, we have more questions than answers. No bueno. Not even. We have all the questions. We only have questions, if I'm being honest. Sherrone too damn nice for me personally. I need an asshole head coach like Urban was. Sherrone does seem to be very amicable. I'm gonna say that for sure. He is very, very amicable. But again, I don't see how Jack Tuttle throwing for under 100 yards. He basically played the entire game. He played from the first quarter on, had 98 passing yards, 10 of 18. It wasn't even like he was 10 of 12 or 17 of 18 or 15 of 18 or 13 of 18, 10 of 18. He was damn near at 50% completion percentage. This is one of the knocks on Alex Orji, who was at 3 of 7, which wasn't too far off from what, if you extrapolate 2 for 7, right? He ends up somewhere around 6 for 14, right? At the end of this thing. And this guy went 10 of 18, and we're talking like he's the second coming of J.J. McCarthy. He is not. He threw the touchdown pass, like I said, that he made way more difficult than it had to be, because if he sees a huge human, a huge guy. Marlon Klein is bigger than Colston Loveland. Marlon Klein is bigger than some of those offensive and defensive linemen. He was a massive man running across the middle of the field. He flashed in front of your face. You had to have seen him, and you made that way more difficult than it had to be, rolling out, hitting Colston Loveland. I'm not holding that one too much against you, though, because you did complete a touchdown pass. So good for you. But it was way more dramatic than it needed to be. We do have some people in the queue. I'm going to bring you up in just 1 second. Let me finish the quotes here. He said, again, about Jack Tuttle. He was very exciting to start the game. That one I'm not going to hold against you. He was pretty. It did seem to give a jolt of energy to the team. However, if you saw the sideline views of the quarterback that was replaced, Alex Orji, did not look like he was too happy. Didn't look like he had that much support around him. I did see Davis Warren wrap his arms around him. But, you know, and Davis Warren was also replaced. By the way, Davis Warren was not replaced so unceremoniously. This was an unceremonious replacement. But I digress, which also leads to questions, and shout out to Antonio, because I was going here about Jaden Davis, the quarterback of the future, supposedly former 5-star quarterback who never touched the field, but Jack Tuttle, straight off of his back rub and receiving his AARP card in the mail, was the quarterback that they replaced Alex Orji with. Now I'm going to get to the call-ins really quick. By the way, we'll put this back in the chat, so anybody who wants to talk, come on up. Let's start with Ryan. You were here first. What's good?
Hey, what's going on, man? So for me personally, it was a glorious weekend, but I do feel for you. You are my boy. Our two biggest rivals lost this weekend. Crazy weekend of college football, by the way. Miami should have went down. But I will say this, like me as just a college football fan, like watching the Michigan game, I slightly disagree with, you saying the Alex Orji got benched, because I think that Chiron Moore felt a little pressure, especially going down 14-0, and the offense was really stagnant. You weren't able to really run the ball. I think Mullings had like 20 yards, in the first half. And Washington was just stacking the box at that point because they did not respect the passing game. And I think that when you put Tuttle in, it kind of caught Washington off guard. You go on that 17-0 run, because he brought a different element to your offense, which was the passing game. I'm not saying he's significantly better than Orji or
Hold on.
Warren.
Before you go forward,
yeah.
What passing game did he bring?
Some of the passes he hit, I hadn't seen Warren or Orgy hit all season. Like the 20-yard pass down the middle, the one where he missed the wide
To
open tight
Amorian
end.
Walker, a guy who should also be playing more. But that he had no choice but to. Did you see how wide open he was?
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, I think that it's not much. It's not much of improvement, but I think right now he might be the best passer on Michigan's team.
He is definitely not the best passer on the team. I would still say Davis Warren's a better passer. That said, the interception he threw was gross.
Oh yeah, that was terrible.
Look. Here's the thing, man. I understand people's excitement about some passes being completed. He did complete 10 passes. Like I said, he threw the longest pass in Michigan's season this year, which is insane. It was like a 21-yard pass, and that's the longest pass of the season for the Wolverines. Let that sink in. That's where we are. We are at a point where we have 3 guys that have played quarterback for us in the first 6 games, and none of them are necessarily great quarterbacks. Ryan, I'm gonna move on to Dom real quick. Stay right there. Dom, go ahead.
How you doing, M3?
I'm doing great. Not really.
I thought I'd wear this today because I want to use this to point out something. This is the
Coaches.
from the national championship.
Yep.
I waited 26 years from 97 to get this. And then before 97, the last one was 1948. So that's 2 titles since 1948. I'm on board with everything you're saying. I'm not going to get into the quarterback thing because you could take all of them and put them all together into one and you still wouldn't have a good quarterback. What's really bothersome to me is it's creating dissension amongst the fans. Could you imagine what it's doing inside of that locker room? And I think what's really absent right now is senior or upperclassmen leadership amongst the team where they're holding others accountable. I would imagine that Blake and Mikey did a lot of that last year, like get in line, get your head straight, put in the same effort, look what I'm doing, so you better pick it up. I don't think they have any of that. And I agree, the knee-jerk reaction by Chiron Moore yesterday, there's not any, we're going to clean this up and fix it. There's no duct tape that we could put here or there to fix the season. It is what it is. I've said it from the beginning of the year. Each game to me is like practice with only one being of value this year, and that's November 30th in the shoe. Because if you go to the Michigan sites and look at some of the, like Webb and some of these other guys, just look at those lousy Buckeye trolls and all their mumbo, and they haven't done anything since 2014. Well, they beat Clemson in the semi before getting crushed by Alabama. So they haven't done anything but a lot of this, and that's what's hard to digest. And I'll conclude. Thank you for the time. There's a lot of talent on the team. It's not being utilized right, and that talent's not focused, and it's not playing hard.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I also agree with what Antonio is saying here. I'm sorry, what was the Dexter? What Dexter's saying here. The defense is about to lay down. Listen, my guy brought this up last night. When you start to see people like Will Johnson with a hamstring injury, you start to see Mason Graham with, some high ankle sprain. Those guys are going to be shutting it down here soon because what are they playing for, right? All of those guys had to play, or at least, they couldn't be in the NFL draft the season ago. So those guys had to come back somewhere and be on the roster, I guess, to be eligible to play in the NFL next year. But those guys are going to be first-round draft picks. They're 4-2. The margin of error for Michigan is 0 now, right?
Yep.
There's no more losing that can take place if they plan to make the CFP. And trust me, there are losses on the schedule, right?
Yes, there are.
And we might be talking about multiple losses on the schedule. So what are they playing for? That's where I am right now. Kicking, what's good?
Hey, man, I just wanted to say, love the show. Everybody hit that like button. But
For
yeah,
sure.
man, what the call was just saying makes so much sense. Like, if it's already dividing us as fans, just imagine what it's doing in the locker room, because you keep pulling these quarterbacks. You had all summer, all spring to take one, stick with one, and ride or die with it. And when you keep pulling these quarterbacks out and, well, let's try this one, let's try that one, you're not giving the offensive line time to gel properly. Number one, number two, you're really making these quarterbacks seem to really not give their best effort if they're just going to keep getting pulled when they make a mistake. Now,
exactly. Say that. If
I
I
mean,
have to fear of every time I make a mistake, a bad throw, and by the way, for Orgy, it looks like he got pulled for passes being batted at the line.
right.
There's no confidence there.
Mm-mm. No, and on top of that, I was just on Johnny's show, listening to them too, and they made a good point too. Like, it's on the offensive line too, though. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
if that defensive line is batting balls down, someone's not putting their hands in the right place to keep them from putting their hands up. Now,
Absolutely.
yeah, I'll
Shout
put
out to
one on
Johnny.
Orgy, but at the same time, like, this isn't. We're not freaking in the NFL where you get 4 games to figure out who's your guy. Like, you should have figured that out at the beginning of the year.
120. I agree with you, by the way, Kicking. There was a whole off season. There were camp, there was spring camp, there was fall camp.
Yeah.
We should have figured something out. And even if that something was, we don't have a legit quarterback, right? Something needed to be done. There was still time for the portal in the spring. There was some flirtation, like I said last night, with Dante Moore, who ended up going to be a backup in Oregon.
Yeah.
Now, Steven did get on and explain that situation. But even beyond Dante Moore, the Honda McCord was out there, who looks like a Maserati again. And it would have been fun, if nothing else, to have Kyle McCord on the roster once we made the trek to Columbus, and him being the starter. By the way, he would definitely be the starter today.
Yeah.
And we walk into Columbus with the Honda McCord.
Yeah, I mean, shoot. Even looking at the quarterbacks who left, I mean, look, freaking, what's his name? Bowman's having a decent year.
Yes.
We could have kept him.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. There's no doubt about it that it is bad. But again, I just think that the leash might have been pulled a little. The rug might have been pulled from under Orgy a little too soon. That said, we got another caller up. In fact, it's my guy. Kicking anything else for us before we move on?
Nah, man, just, like you said, we can't have another loss. And looking at our schedule, there's at least 2 more. We could actually end up losing, right? 3 or 4.
Yeah.
This is bad, bro. This is bad.
Yeah, it could get real Shabba ranks in a matter of weeks here.
Oh, yeah. All right, man. Take it easy.
No doubt. With that, I'm going to bring my guy on, the Maniac. What's good?
Yo, what's going on, champ? How you feeling?
What's good, man? I'm doing, you know what? I slept on it. I woke up. I felt worse. So I was like, I got to talk to the people about it.
No, I feel you. We got a bad hangover. This feel like that bad hangover. You drank too much, talking about you was only going to take a shot. Yeah, this is bad. Yo, Ryan, what's going on, man? Shout to your Irish. That A&M win is looking better by the day. You heard?
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Hey, we're almost to the back in the top 10, bro. It's been a long wait.
Yeah. Yeah, the college, listen,
Hey, man,
college football season is always unpredictable. There's always 1 or 2 teams. Yo, Ghosh, my guy, what's going on, champ? You have to understand, man, any given Saturday. Remember that movie, Any Given Sunday? Same thing in college. We saw it yesterday. But my thing is this, man, right? Going back to Michigan, I would, me and the Maize man's team. A thing that, again, I went to sleep and it was bothering me again. It's the defense, bro. How is it that we arguably have arguably, I'm not saying we do, the most talented defensive roster in all of the nation. And this is what we doing. We can't tackle in space, right? How? How you can't we in week 6 already, week 6, week 7, we can't tackle in space. This team, every single game, should it not, maybe 14 a game, 17, all right. But bro, Washington missed the field goal and we blocked the chip shot. That's 33 points right there. That's a lot of points on this defense. And Washington is a good offense. They're not they're not elite. They're a good offense. So, bro, how is that? We know Wink with the blitzing. And let's get to that too, right? How is it that with our front four, we were getting pressure, no problem. 4 sacks on Will Rogers.
Yep.
4 sacks. Why are we blitzing on 2nd and 12? When
Great
you know
question.
the whole year, our secondary's been suspect. Makari Page, where you at? When Ron Moore went down, I was upset, but I said, we got Makari, we good, the best tandem. Makari looking like a freshman out there at times, man. Like, what are you doing, champ? You're supposed to be that vocal leader back there. It's not looking like it. Listen, like I mentioned yesterday, with another loss or 2, it's checkout season. Just like a hotel. Your 3-day stay, it's checkout time. Listen, Will Johnson, I'm checking out draft. Mason Graham, I'm checking out draft. Kenneth Grant, here you go. And it's just prepare for next season, man. I'm going to tell you something. Next season, next off season, Michigan has 2 things they have to do. The staff, they have to take a deep look at that. We know that. Offense and defensive coordinator. And I don't care, that checkbook better be heavy for transfers because this team is going to be depleted next year, especially on the defensive end. I think just our linebackers, Hill, and some safeties are coming back. That's it. That's it. So
look,
that better be ready.
To Vic's point here, we already know that Dave Portnoy has said he's willing to spend a few $1 million on a quarterback for Michigan to ensure that Michigan has a top 10 quarterback every year. There was some rumors about Chiron Moore reaching back out to Bryce Underwood, although I think that ship may have sailed on the Bryce Underwood side. It does look like he's pretty locked into LSU, but at least the Dave Portnoy money thing and Sherrone reaching out, Dave having a conversation with Sherrone, so there's some sort of, a vibe there, right? They're talking to each other about using Dave Portnoy's money to ensure a quarterback. That's all fine and dandy, but the biggest problem I have is this all seemed like a setup, bro. It all seemed like a setup for Alex Orji to end up not being the quarterback. In the spring, all we heard was Alex Orji. Fall camp, Alex Orji. All the way up until 2 weeks before the season starts, then all of a sudden, the Make-A-Wish kid is in at starting quarterback.
That is diabolical, bro.
No. And I don't mean that in like a disrespectful way, right? Of course, there was like some a humorous tenor there, but I'm not saying that Davis Warren is on his last leg or anything like that, and I wish him nothing but health and wealth going forward. But you get what I'm saying, right? All of a sudden, 2 weeks before the season, this is our guy. Like, where did that come from? Then he goes out there, falls on his face a couple times, including against Texas, where he was just clearly outclassed. And then we replace him with Alex Orji, who was undefeated as a starter. I'm not putting last night's loss on him, even though he did get behind in that game. And seemed to be replaced again for batted passes when the other guy threw 6 interceptions in 2 games or 3 games before we were willing to say, okay, we should probably move on, right? Where are the turnovers from Alex Orji to kind of validate this change? By the way, the guy you replaced him with was responsible for 2 turnovers. He himself was responsible. It wasn't a bad route. It wasn't anything like that. The ball was clearly thrown behind his target. The dude intercepted it. The other one, he's surrounded by 300-pounders, and he didn't secure the football. So that's where the frustration comes in for me. This seems like a setup. It seemed like the leash was way too short. I'm not here to pound the table and say Alex Orji is an amazing quarterback. I would never do that. He hasn't proven that at all. I'm just saying it doesn't seem like he was given a fair chance. Definitely wasn't given the chance that Davis Warren was given, and he definitely wasn't getting the high praise from the head coach that Jack Tuttle seems to be getting for being at best mediocre.
So I do got a question for you guys. So like how much longer of the game against Washington would you have given if you guys were the coach? Would you have given Orji just because of the magnitude of that game? Like you guys said, you can't afford to lose a second game this early in the season. You're already down 14-0 on the road.
That. I think you got to die. You got to live with it. You got to die with it. He was down. We were down 14-0, but he's the starting quarterback. We have to put that faith behind him. And like I said, until the game is out of hand at the end, then you make a change and try to see what you got in Jack Tuttle. But he has to lose the game.
Yeah, I see both sides of the coin. I see both sides. You make a very great point, Maize, man. Don't get me wrong. But I also see Melo, what's going on, champ? I also see Chiron Moore's side, right? I think he might have panicked. He might have said, 14-zip on the road. Remember, when Washington scored that first touchdown, what did I text you? If you could remember.
Oh, if they score again, the ball game
it get ugly. Right? It's going to get ugly. This could get ugly. 7-zip. I said this could get ugly. You just could see it in the body language, the way Washington was moving the ball. Yes, I think that moving forward, this is what I would do. F what the fans say. Have a true quarterback system. Just have a true quarter. I don't care. That's it. Put them both in because you know what? Now you have to have the defense do something. And what they got to do, prepare for two quarterbacks now. When Orji's in there, now, all right, they're going to run. No stupid. Here's this little 5-yard pass over your head. You know what I'm saying? Because he don't pass further than that. And then Tuttle, we still got to see the jury's out on him. It's not like he's anything magnificent. Yes, he might bring an element to the offense where now defense do got to respect him, right? And another thing is, where's the taking the shots down the field? We didn't take no shots down the field. Just get a pass interference, something. You saw Will Rogers do it at the end when Will Johnson got that pass interference. Why are we not doing things like that? Take shots. And we're not going to be creative because this Michigan's offense is a Pop Warner offense. This is a Pop Warner, Mickey Mouse, build a house, Crayola offense. Anybody could just do, do something, man. Do something. Like, you gotta be honest,
I think that, and just from watching all three quarterbacks, I think this year, especially with Tuttle having, I think, was he a 7th-year guy?
He's like, Indiana, right? He's been here since Tim Tebow was a freshman.
So he is from Indiana, though, right? He was behind Michael Penix at Indiana.
I think he was at Utah first, and then Indiana.
He was at Utah first.
So, I was thinking, just watching all three quarterbacks, this year it might have been better to start off with Tuttle, just because of the experience and with this team's expectations, and then maybe or Orji, because Orji, like people have said in the comments, was a developmental guy, and I don't know, that's how I kind of feel, because I do think that Davis Warren and Tuttle give you the best, they give you more passing ability. But then again, that goes to the OC. Maybe there should have been some offensive creativity where you could have Tuttle or Warren in there.
Thank you.
Bring in Orji to use as a different, package or run threat, like a read option. And it's your OC doesn't seem like he has much creativity.
No. That's the other thing. The OC, I think, is the biggest culprit here. The OC has an offense that he wants to run. And Alex Orji does not fit that. for Kirk Campbell, and the creativity was not there when Alex Orji is in the game, because it almost has to be creative for Alex Orji, right? To have the type of success that Michigan needs him to have for them to win games like against Washington, or even have a chance against teams like Texas, right? Because if you just have him in there to do stupid things like quarterback power, right? Which they tried against Texas, which was a complete failure, then that's not the type of creativity we're talking about. By the way, hit the like button. If you're in here and you haven't hit the like button, hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're going to drop that link in the bio for anybody that wants to come up. In fact, we got one. Brett, what's going on before I go any further?
Oh, I don't know. I was concerned, not to change the subject from offense to defense, but I was concerned with Martindale coming in here with not because he's not experienced. The man's got experience. There's no denying that, but he's just not the right he's not the right person. It's another Don Brown situation. We give guys 5, 6, 7, 8 yards of cushion. What do you expect to happen? Especially Giles Jackson. How do we not know anything about Giles Jackson? He was here for 3, 4 years, wherever long
Giles
he was
Jackson's
here.
Another guy who seems like he's played college football my whole life.
Exactly. He's a 7-year, 8-year college vet. It's like, how do we not know how to guard him? Out of every wide receiver on Washington, we should know him. Some guys that were on the team played with him. But, yeah, offensively, I don't think it matters who's the quarterback at this point. Warren, Orji, Tuttle, they're just not good enough. All three of them are just not good enough. And I have nothing against them. They're just not good enough. They're not.
What do you say about the 5-star freshman on the bench? We're seeing freshmen across the country
let them play,
dominate.
Let them play. Why not? Yeah. What else do we got to lose? We're 4-2, 2-1 in the Big Ten. Right. We're on a bye week. Get them set in the playbook. You got Illinois going to Illinois. They're decent. They're good this year. That's still a good game for Jaden Davis to come in and get experience in. For Illinois, yeah, it's not Ohio State or nothing like that. Bring him in and let him get experience because, as I said, all these guys are not it.
Shout out Dexter. I agree with you, Brett. Man, we appreciate that. We don't have a quarterback. That's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
Before Maniac, before you go, we got a superstar in the queue. My guy, everybody's friend, Melo has joined the chat. Wait. Some shit on your wall and your head, but
Melo, what's that on your head, champ?
Hey, we can't hear you. You
can't hear you.
Hey, you got the number 3 team in the country this week. Melo, how you feeling, bro?
Yo, we can't hear you, Melo.
I don't know what's going on.
My bad. I had it on.
All right. Yeah. Now we hear you.
I'm hearing like a lot of feedback. I ain't gonna lie, but Ryan, first things first. Where's my Brutus hat?
Hey, I couldn't find one, bro. I had to buy one off of eBay, bro. They wanted $40 for a used one. I don't know where that's been, Melo.
Hey, listen, I'm gonna get you one. I'm gonna send it to.
All right, give me one, and I'll wear it. You, bro. I got you. How you feeling about the number 3 team in the nation playing at their house this week?
It's gonna be a good one. I expect to beat them by 10.
Yeah. Listen, I'm gonna tell you something.
They are better than Oregon.
As much as I hate Ohio State and everything about them, I gotta keep it real. They not losing to Oregon. The only way, one, if Ohio State is turning over the ball, but if they do not turn the ball over, I expect a tough, gritty win. I could say 10. That sounds just about right. It'll be a tough game though, but I think right now, based on what I saw from both teams, just being honest, I mean, it's a game Oregon can win. Not saying they can't win, but if I had to put money up, Unfortunately, it'll be on the Buckeyes.
I think it's going to be a weird game because I think that both offenses are high flying in the passing game. But I think if I'm Ohio State, I'm going to pay more attention to what Boise State did. And I'm going to try to run it down their throat with Judkins and Henderson because that D line for Oregon is the weakness of that team. Their DBs are actually really good. I think you can run down their throat. I know, but dude, I'm not saying not to throw the ball, but I'm saying you can run it down Oregon's throat because especially you want to keep Dylan Gabriel off the field too in that offense. So I mean, I think you can set the tone, run it down their throat, and out physical Oregon. I think if you do that, you're gonna take them out of the game.
Hold on, real quick before you go, Melo. We got Ryan. We got to drop you down. We got King Bronco Harris coming up. Stay around, Ryan. Go, Melo. We got Ryan. We got to drop you down. All right. What's good, Melo?
But hey, I just wanted to say I wanted to salute to my man 3M and Maniac. Y'all doing a great job. You know what I'm saying? I mess with y'all heavy.
Yeah.
Everybody out here, give them a like and a follow. These are two good brothers. Like outside of just this rivalry thing, like as humans, they are great people. Support them. Like these are my bros for real. And I mean, I'm sorry that they root for the wrong team, but these are my guys for real. That's all I wanted to come on here and say. Oh, the real reason I came on here to say is that I think the Big is getting disrespected overall. The SEC is getting a lot of hype, but the most undefeated teams are in the Big.
I tweeted that yesterday.
It's time for the Big, all the podcast game, and the beat reporters need to come together because if you don't see what the SEC is trying to do, they're trying to build up their conference like they're the greatest thing on earth, and they're really not. There's a lot of fraudulent teams in that conference, but they're trying to set it up to get as many teams into the playoffs as possible. The Big Ten needs to do the same thing. Forget the rivalry, forget everything else. Like, we need to represent for the Big and get as many teams in. And that's the only reason I even called in. You know,
now you're right, man. That bias. You're right.
Shout out to that.
Yeah, that bias towards the SEC, Melo, that shit will never change, bro. How is it that they lose to Vanderbilt and only go to number 6? If that was the Big Ten team, if that was Ohio State, they lost to a bottom feed of Big Ten, y'all would have went from 1 to like 19 easily. But the SEC, they keep them all close because, like you said, they want 4 or 5 SEC teams in the playoffs. We know how this shit operate, man. But we'll see. We'll see, man. We'll see how it plays out.
But this is my prediction. This is the beginning of the fall for the SEC because once they go to the schools taking over the NIL, it's a wrap because nobody got more money than the Big.
That's a fact.
But salute to y'all, brothers. I'm out
to you, man.
I'm gonna go ahead and
my brother. Have a good Sunday.
No doubt, man. Good luck.
Yo, M3, man. Listen, I'll check you tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Keep cooking, man. Just like my brother just said, man. Make sure y'all smash that like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Tune in to Eminem Mondays. I'm the co-host, the host right here, my brother, the Madman. We'll be talking more Michigan football and college football in general.
No doubt. What's good, King Bronco Harris? You're live. Don't know what's going on with you. I'm gonna drop you. Come back up if you want. But yeah, man. Shout out to everybody that joined the space there. I'm gonna bring Ryan back up until we can get King Bronco's mic situation fixed. Ryan, you there?
Yeah, what's up, man?
All right, so look, I understand what everybody's saying about us not having a quarterback. It does seem that way. And by the way, I'm not even going to disagree with that. That said, he said he feels good. This is the coach now. This is Chiron Moore saying he feels good about what Jack Tuttle did. I am struggling seriously to understand what he feels good about. There was nothing to feel good about that performance.
I'll say this, that stretch where you guys scored 17 unanswered, that's about it. That's what I would say. That little sample size of Jack Tuttle, like if he did that for the rest of the game, you probably honestly win that game. But if maybe that's what he's talking about outside of that little sample size, that's why I think maybe he's your best quarterback, at least throwing the ball. But yeah, that's the only thing I could think of that he's talking about. Otherwise, that was not a good performance from top to bottom from the defense or the offense.
Real quick, I want to get into this. He can't play. This is a segment I'm going to be bringing on to the channel. It's here to stay. He can't play. And I got a list right here.
Yeah.
We're going to start with Davis Warren. Davis Warren can't play.
Bonafide scrub. He can't play.
Evan Link, who this isn't even hyperbolic, this isn't hyperbole, is the worst offensive lineman in FBS.
Bonafide scrub. He can't play.
Kirk Campbell, and I know Kirk Campbell doesn't play, he's just the OC, but he makes the list.
Bonafide scrub. He can't play.
Right now, and it pains me to do this to this guy because I like him a lot, Makari Page is on the list.
Bonafide scrub. He can't play.
And if it sounds like I'm being harsh, I really don't mean to be harsh. I'm still all in on Michigan football. I'm not one of the guys that's jumping off the bandwagon, none of that. I've been a Michigan fan my entire life. It's not going to change now. Even when it was hostile to be a Michigan Wolverine fan, when I stayed in the state of Ohio, I grew up there. I know exactly what it's like to be a Michigan fan in that state. But these guys can't play. Oh, by the way, Wink Martindale. How could I forget Wink Martindale? And not only is Wink Martindale on the list,
Bonafide scrub. He can't play.
in addition to being on the list for Wink Martindale, I say this: no more old people. I no longer want old coordinators coordinating for Michigan. There was a stretch there with Jesse Minter, right, and McDonald, where Michigan was just dominant on defense. The last 3 years between Jesse Minter and Mike McDonald, Michigan was at the top or near the top every year in defense. This year, it is not the case. No disrespect to Wink Martindale, because as Ryan said, I think, pointed out, he is he's got a ton of experience and all of those things. But right now, he's coaching defense like the guy who was fired from his last 2 jobs. And that's just the fact. He was fired from his last 2 jobs. He can say all of these things about being the architect of the defense, and maybe he is. However, just because you start something or you're the first to do it doesn't mean you're the best to do it. And clearly, Jesse Minter is better than him at it. Clearly, Mike McDonald is better than him at it, at least at this level. And by the way, those 2 guys happen to be proving it on the other level too. But I digress. No more old people. That includes Jack Tuttle, who is 57 years old out here playing quarterback for the Michigan Wolverines. That includes Wink Martindale, who just seems to be a slightly better version of Don Brown at this point, and that really can't be proven until we play that last game in November, because if I'm being honest, Don Brown was actually pretty good against a lot of other teams, not named the other state. So at this moment in time, Wink Martindale is on the no more old people list. What do you think about that, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, so I do kind of have a question about Wink and the OC hire. How much control did Moore have with the coordinator search? Like, did he have?
He had complete control. He had so much control, in fact, that's one of the reasons Mike Hart is no longer with the team. It's one of the reasons Steve Klingscale is no longer with the team, because those guys wanted those positions and he went and hired other people.
So how much of this, like, and I get it, he's the first year head coach, so you don't want to put too much blame on him, but I mean, how much of it is on him for having full responsibility and hiring these guys? Because I get it, it's also not. I get it's also hard because Marcus Freeman had the same thing his first year, finding a DC that wanted to a lot of these guys, especially guys like Wink Martindale that have coached in the NFL, they don't want to go be a DC under a first-time head coach, especially a younger guy. So it's hard to get guys like that. That's why I kind of wanted to ask if, he had full control, if the admin had any say. But yeah, if he had full control, we got to have some serious talks about maybe Chiron Moore's not the best, at least right now, of finding, the best coordinators, especially if you let guys go like Mike Hart and Clinkscale, who were some of the best assistant coaches in college football, and you let them walk away.
I agree that Wink isn't being helped by the offense. I also agree that Wink isn't helping the offense. Wink Martindale might be, and this is a stat that I would like to know. Michigan's given up more 3rd and longs than I can remember in recent memory, right? They've given up a lot of 3rd and longs. So he is not doing himself any favors. Of course, the offense isn't doing him any favors. We all know that. And I was a guy, and Melo is right. He did tell me that Wink wasn't who I thought he was when the season started. I was all for Wink Martindale. I thought this was a great hire, especially because he was the architect of the defense, and thought that it would lead us to a more prosperous position than we are in now. But it just hasn't panned out that way for whatever reason. It can't be, by the way, because of the talent on defense. There's like 3, maybe even 4 first-round picks on defense right now. He made a mistake letting the OCs go. I agree with that. Well, the OC was him. Chiron Moore was the OC. Chiron Moore should probably call the plays, but we'll see what happens.
So does he have any input? Does he have any input in the offensive play calling, or does he kind of just
after, I believe, the Arkansas State game, there was talk about, he came out and said that, he's peeking his head in the offensive coordinator's office to, give some input, but it doesn't look like the problem isn't necessarily the plays sometimes, it's when we're calling these plays and things like that. So I don't think this is Sherrone Moore calling plays at all. Well, we know it's not him calling the plays, but even with his input right now, I would question that.
Yeah, maybe he should start poking more than just his head in the office. Maybe he should go put a whole foot in the office and have a few words with those.
Maybe you should put a foot in the office, a foot of someone's, a hand on the playbook, ripping it from the grass of Kirk Campbell and him calling the plays. Shout out to the New Life. Michigan ranks 90th. Thank you for this, because this is what I was looking for. And getting off the field on 3rd down. You know how bad that is. By the way, I'm surprised Michigan is 4-2 when you combine these numbers. 129th in offense, in the country. What is it, 133 teams in FBS?
Yeah.
129 out of 133 in FBS is it's unthinkable. You combine that with being 90th on defense and getting off the field on 3rd down. 4-2 sounds like a gift.
Weren't you guys like the best defense on getting off of 3rd downs last year?
And by the way, on offense, we were the best at 3rd and long specifically. Yeah. So what a difference a year makes. Let me say that first and foremost. I'm not blaming this completely on Chiron Moore. I do think he's trying to keep the culture what it was. It has come down to, we don't have a J.J. McCarthy on offense for sure. He had to replace the entire defensive staff, and I think we are all not giving Ben Herbert the credit that he clearly deserves as the strength and conditioning coach, right? Mm-hmm. It is clear that he was making a difference now more than ever as Michigan's strength and conditioning coach. It's pretty bad. We can say that.
Also, they were talking about during the Washington game, like kind of like not necessarily the confusion, but the whole, Donovan Edwards came into this year supposed to be like one of the best backs in the country, and then he kind of gets relegated to the number 2 spot, and there's kind of like, a little like confusion about who the running back 1 is. What's the story behind that? Like, I know that Mullings has been kind of killing it, but what's going on with where Edwards, who, was one of the best backs, if not like a top 3 back last year, even with behind Corum, is now kind of like barely getting carries and kind of that second.
So this is so obviously before this game, Khalil Mullins was clearly outplaying Donovan Edwards on the field, right? Mm-hmm. But last night is inexplicable because at halftime, Donovan had 80+ rushing yards and Khalil Mullins was the one struggling. Now, granted, Donovan did have the long touchdown run, but it wasn't like it was a 70-yard touchdown run. It was like 20, maybe 30 yards, maybe, right? So last night in the second half, they completely go away from the Don, really, in the second half, running the football. It's inexplicable. I don't know the rhyme or reason behind any of the choices that were made last night. Moore's trash. He's driving the bus and driving us into the ground. I'm not going to go this far because I remember actual bad coaches, right? Rich Rodriguez was actually bad for Michigan. Now, granted, he was kind of, handicapped too because they didn't let him do what he wanted to do completely. So I'll give him a little bit of reprieve, but he was bad for Michigan and then turned out to be bad everywhere else he went after West Virginia. Then you had Brady Hoke, who was a good recruiter, but wouldn't put on a headset even. He was bad as the head coach. Those are bad coaches. Jim Harbaugh comes in and loses to your main rival for 7 years straight. So I'm not going to be like, oh, he's driving us into the ground because we've seen what that looks like, and this is not it. It is a situation where he does not have a quarterback. That's pretty apparent. The quarterback on the roster that we think is a quarterback, Jaden Davis, has not touched the field, whether it is because his parents say they don't want him out there, which is absurd to me, or it's because he's not good enough, which would be more eye-opening and more alarming. I don't know which of the two it is, but whichever one it is, it's alarming.
It could also be maybe they don't want to burn his red shirt.
Yeah.
That could also be something too.
So what I was thinking is, and I agree with that, but now you get 4 games before you have to burn a red shirt. I just want to see what the kid has at this point, and we had some opportunities to do that. He could have played against Arkansas State or Fresno State, right? He could probably get into the game against Lil Bro Nim, although they probably are out for some sort of revenge and might be looking to hurt people, so maybe not play against them. But there are opportunities out there for him to see the field.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, like I would wait maybe until like
Adidas years, never going back.
I mean, because you could also maybe see it to where like if you lose a 3rd game, maybe a 4th game, like if you get to that point, especially if you've got those 4 games, why not start Jaden Davis like the final couple games of the season to see what you got in him?
Yeah, no doubt. I definitely am here for that, especially if we are out of any kind of contention, right?
Yeah.
I don't see a problem with that at all. I definitely want to see this guy play. I think most Michigan fans at this point want to see him play. I do understand the apprehensiveness if you believe that the offensive line is not up to par, and we don't want to see him get hurt, certainly before he is ready to play. But and Evan Link, like I said, is the worst right tackle in all of college. Forget right tackle, worst offensive lineman in all of FBS.
Is he your main starter, or is somebody
starting right tackle since game 1? Sophomore Evan Link has been the starting right tackle.
You guys don't have anybody behind him that can maybe do a little better?
Michigan fans rush people out there and cuss him when he underperforms. Hey, yo. Ain't that what y'all did last year with the Honda McCourt?
I don't know. When he underperformed one game?
Exactly. He was like a sterling example of a good quarterback play. And by the way, even in that game, was way closer than the guy that y'all heap praise on, C.J. Stroud, in beating Michigan. C.J. Stroud never came close to winning against Michigan, and this guy loses by 6 points on a drive where he had a chance to win the game.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I was just like, because like I would think you guys would have at least somebody like a backup or something you could throw out that right tackle to see if they're any better, because you guys recruit offensive linemen just as well as we do. So I'm surprised it's kind of not like a lock and load, reload type situation.
Yeah, man, no doubt. It definitely is. I've been on here for an hour now. I just wanted to vent. I didn't get to all my points, but I'll be doing a video at some point during the week. We'll discuss this further. Until then, Ryan, tell the people where they can find you, what you have going on. Is there a Week 0 podcast tonight?
I do not believe there's one tonight. I think we moved it back to Thursdays because of the work schedule. But you can find us and, the Maize Madman and, yours truly over on Week 0 podcast. We go live every single week. It's looking like Thursdays at 7 p.m. Central. We go break down every single game. The previous week breakdown, give our pick'ems for the next week. We got to have a lot to break down this week with the crazy weekend we had. Yeah, Week 0 Productions on YouTube. Look us up. Find us out there.
What's your whole... put in Triple M. See what you get. I have no clue. I mean Discord. Ripstar is hilarious. The Discord link is in the YouTube channel bio, by the way. Anybody who wants to join that, be sure to become a member if you haven't already. Until next, follow me everywhere at Maize Madman, and of course, till next time, stay angry, my friends.